We don't need to keep small talking off the air. I just hit the button.
That's right. All right, we're rolling.
All right, we are rolling. All right, welcome to episode 40, everybody, of the Ministry of Freedom Show. Our man Mike Collins is back today. Say hey, Mike.
Hey.
So we're going to dive into some Q&A about my book. It's called I Asked God to Kill Me, and had some pretty good response. I was a little bit surprised, and the public, so to speak, the audience never ceases to amaze me, man. They have different perspectives on things, and they view things differently than I do. So this should be pretty fun. Before we get rolling, if you want to support the show, go to the support the podcast link on all the platforms. There's these links to say, do you want to become a monthly partner? Do you want to support the show? So if you're led to do that, I'd appreciate it. There's other ways to support the show. One of them is buy the book. My goal is to have everyone who's gotten value from the content to take the step of supporting it somehow. Buying the book is pretty easy. Go to Amazon, pick it up, and dive in. It's actually pretty good, and I think there's value in it. Sharing the show, also important. We kind of forget that sometimes. Take a minute each week. Think of a couple people who you know that might be entertained and impacted positively from what we're trying to do. That's how we grow this thing. It's a slow grind. It's not a money making, revenue generating operation at this point. It's a grind, and I enjoy doing the grind because I embrace those grinds. Mike comes on here just to add some value. It's not like I'm kicking him down, other than maybe a breakfast once in a while. Right?
Yeah, I do get a breakfast occasionally. So
that's true. So he gets a breakfast out of it about once a month.
Yeah, I'm actually a professional now at this. So
that's exactly right. Co-host.
Yep.
So follow my Instagram and my Facebook. So I'm at Real Jim Moats on Instagram. My Facebook, type in my name, Jim Moats, and find all that kind of good stuff too. So trying to be a little more active on there.
I have a question that's not related to the book.
Go.
You had zero, before you started doing a podcast, you had zero social media accounts or didn't do any social media at all, correct? I mean,
so no, I had an Instagram, but I just didn't do anything with it. Yeah, I would go like a year and a half without making a post.
Have you been sucked in now that you have Facebook and stuff like that to look at? Has there been any screen time scrolling of, my gosh, what am I doing here? And I need to quit looking at this.
Every day of my life. So even worse than that, my thumbs are jacked up. And my hand, like from holding the freaking phone and all that stuff. So I'm doing these exercises and stuff because I feel like I'm arthritic all of a sudden. I can't stand it.
So yeah, that's what I didn't ask. Are you of the opinion that of like, why didn't I look at this stuff sooner? Or man, I hate that due to my path that I've chosen, I'm having to look at this stuff.
The second one.
Okay.
It's not even close. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe just do the podcast and keep writing books and putting out some good content and working on the next program and stuff. And the heck with social media, it's not doing that much for me, and it's sucking too much time. I don't know. So I'm kicking all those things around. Some of it's kind of fun to get creative and put a certain song and some certain little puns and things.
And obviously, it gives a way for somebody that you went to high school with, some dude that you haven't talked to in 30 years to reach out. And obviously that's kind of cool sometimes.
It is. It's been nothing but cool, actually. I'm waiting for the incidents where they're not cool, but that's been neat so far. I have enjoyed that. The guy that was on last week's show, James Ross, that was a dude that I worked with, 20 something years ago that I hadn't talked to until 5 minutes before we hit record.
Yeah.
So now there's value to it. So I certainly see that.
Yeah.
I want to read. Let me read a post I made this morning to you. So we're doing this on Friday, the 19th. It comes out Tuesday, maybe that's the 23rd or something. So did you see about this big outage that happened, this internet outage globally? Okay. So here's what I posted about it this morning. I said, get your thoughts on it. An unprecedented and extraordinary power outage and IT disruption occurred a few hours ago. Probably just a glitch and not anything orchestrated by the global cabal that's end goal is the demise of Western democracies and the eventual establishment of a new world, one government order. Happy Friday, freedom lovers. I think it's I don't think there's accidents here. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I think everything's a little test, and let's just put this feeler out there. And how effective was our little mini cyber attack, and can we ramp
Yep.
this up? Is that what happened, or is this really some sort of Microsoft update gone wrong, and it's getting back on track, and it's no big deal, and we should move on?
I got in my truck at like 6:45 this morning, and my XM wasn't working. And I called the number and thought, well, maybe my debit card or whatever, and it just said right on there, global outage.
And flights are jacked up and you can't get anywhere. And so this is a little bit alarming. So a lot of my income and my net worth is tied up in investments and things from selling my stock and my businesses and stuff. So it's a obsessive habit of mine that in the morning I kind of get on that site, that app, and I see how the money is doing, and overnight markets and all that kind of stuff. Today, can't see it. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone.
That's how easy it could be someday.
That's the thought I had this morning. Okay. Yeah. It's, to me, fake anyway. It's just a number on a screen. If they tell me it's nothing, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So, just as having problems.
People always talk about crypto and, that it's worthless. It's just made up. Somebody just made it up.
Everything
and then I pull out, I like to pull out a $1 bill and a $100 bill and set them side by side on the table and say, how much do you think it costs to make each of these? What do you think the price difference in producing this $1 bill and this $100 bill is? The one is only worth more because somebody says so.
It's made up.
It's made up.
So gold and silver.
I'm not like sold on crypto
things, bro.
Yeah, I'm not sold on crypto, but it costs whatever, a hundredth of a cent to make a dollar bill, and it costs the government a hundredth of a cent to make $100 bill. But one's worth 100 times as much because they said so.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, you and I line up on that. I line up on that pretty well. So it was an interesting morning, and we'll see how it goes. I don't want to jump into all the politics stuff. I will say this though, by all accounts, Biden is going to be announcing by Sunday night that he's not going to be the nominee.
And you called that, man. You called that months ago that he would not be the candidate, and the closer it got, the harder it seemed to believe that. What I find odd about the whole thing is that Biden was dead set. He was not resigning. It didn't matter what anybody said. He didn't care. He was on that phone call last Friday arguing with his own people and basically screaming at him and bringing up his son and his all just crazy stuff. But Friday, this dude is willing to fight with his own people. I'm not quitting. I don't care what you say. Saturday, was it Saturday that the Trump deal went on?
Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah. So Saturday, there's a failed attempt on Trump's life. I mean, by less than an inch, they missed killing him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now he's receptive to retiring. Yesterday morning, I thought it was odd. Yesterday morning, there was a story that broke that said that Biden would only consider pulling out of the election if it was for health reasons or his doctor told him that he should. Yeah. 4 hours later, he's going home with COVID.
Yep.
I mean, it was nuts. I read the story that I'd only pull out for medical reasons. And literally 4 hours later, the story is he's got COVID.
Just another coincidence.
The Trump assassination fails, and now Biden's willing to maybe possibly think about conceding.
Yeah. The whole thing is crazy, and I guess by all accounts, he's not going to endorse Kamala Harris. Biden isn't.
Yeah, I'm reading all over the map on that. Like, there's a lot of articles that are being pushed that she has to be the heir apparent, and then you see an occasional one that says that they would like to have an open, a more open.
Well, it's gonna be settled at the convention, and that's a month from Monday. It starts, and so from yesterday, as this comes out, and there's going to be 3 or 4 people that they're going to put up, and they'll figure out how the delegates are going to get determined and who's going to be the nominee, and here you go, and then there's going to be a, couple 2-3 month push to the election with whoever they put up against Trump, and it's if nothing else.
The other side of that is there's actually talks on there about who will be her running mate. And they've actually, Gavin and Gretchen both said they're not interested. And obviously maybe you're right. Maybe they're holding out. They want to be on the top of the ticket. But
sure. Exactly.
But there's already been, I read in a story this morning that there's been her people have reached out to 6 different people of, would you be the vice president?
Yeah. So I'm not going to hedge my bets. I'm going to go with what I said months and months ago. Michelle Obama. is going to be on the
Michelle
ticket.
Obama runs, she wins.
In some fashion, she'll be the presidential or vice presidential nominee on the Democrat ticket. I'm going to stick with that. I think the chances of it have gone down drastically from 9 or 10 months ago when I predicted this. But we'll see how it happens, man. I've got the receipts. I did say it, so we'll see. Yeah. We'll see if I'm there or not.
Yeah,
man. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Any other catching up we need to do with you? How are you? But where are you, by the way?
I am in Branson, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
Yep. In my garage.
Doing like lake stuff this weekend stuff. And boating, and grandkids and all that.
My Nancy, my wife's cousin, and her family are down.
Oh, okay, fun, cool. When are you coming back?
Nobody knows.
Okay. I won't press that then. Let's get to some questions, man. So
I will use the classic. Oh yeah, I've read the book.
Have you read my book?
Yes. Okay. I had copies arriving within days of release.
All right, well, I appreciate
Nancy
it.
got one copy before
I was going to say you were available.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. My household is responsible for 8. So
shoot.
So if you've sold 10, we got 8 of them.
Right. 10. I mean, that seems lofty. Do you have any specific questions before I get into the other people from the audience?
No, you know what? What's weird is obviously I've known you a lot of years, and a lot of the stories that are in the book about your early life.
Yeah.
I'd heard them, right? But we were always such a bunch of jackarounds, I'll call it. Everything was always told with like a comical spin. Yeah. And we all have, but yeah, reading the pain that you went through was surprising to me. Honestly, when you read it and it's written down on a page and it's not told with a comical spin, it's like, dude, yeah, that would be tough. That would have been hard.
Yeah.
And so
I laughed. I
learned a lot about you that I thought that I knew, but I guess I had it understood wrong.
That's a neat perspective. Yeah. Because when I'm telling the actual story, it's going to have a comical light to it, and I'm not going to sit there all melancholy and open up my heart and be like, this upset me, and I was crying about this, and
so my mom packed up and left, and I said, "You're not taking that car." Like when you're telling the story, when we're 22, I said, "You're not taking that car, Mom," and we're like, "What? No, you didn't, Mom." Said, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah. But then you read it as a grown up, and our perspective has changed too, because stuff you might have laughed at and thought was hilarious. You're a grandpa now and stuff. You might be like, oh, that seems a little bit painful for a kid.
Yeah. When you're 22 talking about the things at 16, it doesn't take on the same thing as like when we're our age now. And it's like, what? A 16-year-old left at home alone?
For months.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be called.
When you're 22, it's like, that's awesome.
I still think it was pretty awesome. I mean, so I hope that came across in the book. I mean, I had it is what it is. All right, let's move on.
All right.
So first question. These are in no particular order, just maybe kind of how the order they came to me, that they were sent. What are the good next steps to develop discipline in my daily life? For example, I want to start to fuel and train better, but where do I start and how do I keep going? So the steps to develop discipline in your life. So I'm going to give credit to Jocko, and I wrote this in the book too, because people are always asking him, because he writes about discipline. How can I be more disciplined? His answer to them is very plain. Do you know what it is? He says, be disciplined.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like a cop-out, but you need to make a decision at some point if you're going to start to live a lifestyle that's going to be more conducive to you being healthy and being whatever you're trying to become, optimized, as I like to call it. So I think that there are steps that you can take. The first thing is, I don't like to approach it from a perspective of all this elimination. You got to stop drinking, and you can stop this, stop eating cookies. And those changes are probably important, but I like to add things, because as you add things, generally there's not going to be room for the garbage at some point. So I would tell somebody to try to get up an hour earlier than they're comfortable getting up. If they get up at 6 o'clock every day, they've been setting an alarm for 6 o'clock, they hit snooze 3 times, and that's how they get to work on time or whatever. Set the alarm for 5 and don't snooze it. It's going to take discipline and not hit snooze. Put the alarm on the other side of the room. Put your phone on the other side of the room so it's going off and waking you up. You have to get out of bed to go grab it. If it's right on your nightstand, it's easy to turn it off. You go right back to sleep. If that's what it takes, you have to force yourself into these little life hacks to be more disciplined. But get up an hour earlier and get walking.
There you go.
Most people can go for a walk, right?
Yep.
So
and that's actually, this is mine. I haven't stole this from anybody, I don't believe, but 3 W's, man. Waking, walking, and water.
Dude,
that's your start.
So
how do I start? You wake up earlier,
yeah,
you walk in the day, and you drink water.
Okay. I will steal that.
Go ahead.
That will be in the next book.
Perfect.
One of our pastors a couple weeks ago, he quoted somebody and he said, but here's how I feel about these quotes. I'm going to give this guy credit for it the first time I say it to you all. In a couple weeks, when I say it again, it will be somebody once said, and I won't name his name. He goes, when we have this discussion in a month, it will be, I've always said.
Well, you're actually gonna steal that. I just made it up. It's yours.
It's great. No, it's really good. And
I'll Google it later and make sure I didn't hear it somewhere else. But
yeah, who cares? It's ours now.
You know, when back in 2002, I got up where I was like 305, 10 pounds, and I did the other. I did that, but in the process, it caused me to give up. I used to drink 8 liters of Pepsi, just full sugar Pepsi a day.
I can't even.
And they used to have them. You remember the 1 liter bottles that had like the large mouth on them?
Yeah, of course.
So they drank super easy, like they'd go down super fast. Yeah. And I would stop and buy 8 to 10 of those a day. These 1 liter bottles of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And you know, they're whatever, 500 calories a piece, whatever, you know, something like that. And when I quit that, started getting up in the morning, barely moving. Like I ended up moving to bike riding. First, it was a 30-minute walk each morning. Then it went to a 30-minute bike ride. But anyway, just those changes brought me down to like 260 pounds.
That's significant. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, awesome. You know, all I did was give up Pepsi and wake up a little earlier, go for a walk each day. And now I'm drinking water instead of Pepsi.
Yeah. So those are really good. So certainly getting up earlier. And when we talk about movement, you can go for a walk around the block. You know, it's cheap. It's not going to, you don't have to have a gym membership at first to go do anything like that.
You're doing nothing and you start doing something.
Yeah.
There's going to be some changes.
Yeah. And it's going to take some discipline because it might be a little chilly some mornings, or it might be a little overly humid, or it might be sprinkling. But you got to go out and do it anyway. You know, during 75 hard, I was outside in some torrential freaking downpours and thunderstorms that were extremely unsafe. But you know, it is what it is. The other thing I would encourage people is go to Target and get a pair of dumbbells. So whatever your strength level is, maybe you get a set of 10 pounders. If that's where you're at, you can figure out how to do some quality bicep curls. You can YouTube how to do form on these things. Overhead presses, you can use them for deadlifts. You can get 30 minutes of movement in with one set of dumbbells that's not heavyweight, and you start doing those things. And you're right, water. The benchmark is the gallon of water, and that's going to help tremendously. Now, when we start talking about food without drawing up nutritional plans and stuff, very, very simply, eat things that are food. So meat, vegetables, fruit, this is food. Try to limit cookies and cake and the stuff from the middle of the store and sugary cereals and all that kind of garbage. And, you know, I cook a bunch of hamburgers at a time. And a lot of times in the morning, I'll have a hamburger patty and an apple after my training. And it's not that hard to do. So those are simple things, and that'll jumpstart and get you going. But yeah, get up early. I like it. So wake, what is it? Waking,
walking, and water.
That's it.
3 W's: waking, walking, and water.
3 W's. Mike Collins bringing it. The fire. The 3 W's. My man. Yeah. So where do I start and how do I keep going? The keeping going thing, I think, is way easier than the getting started, because if you're doing it right, putting any effort in, the results are going to motivate you to keep going further. So the keep going, we'll talk about, but that's going to be the easy part.
And after you get started, you're just like, oh, why wasn't I always doing this? Every time.
Yeah, that's it.
Every time you fall off the wagon when you get started again, I was like, man, why did I quit doing this? I feel so much better.
That's exactly right. Yeah, good for you. That's really good. Thank you. What do we have here? The discussion on pages 89 to 91 about who you choose to surround yourself with is a worthy discussion. Please elaborate. So what I did is I grabbed a copy of the book, and I'm not going to read all of this, but I highlighted some stuff. I'm just going to go through and read directly from the book, and I'd love to get your thoughts. But this guy was obviously impacted by this and had questions about it. So here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Bad company corrupts good character. Plainly, that means that if you're planning to spend time with lesser thans in your life with the intention of elevating them to your level, that will absolutely not happen. They'll end up dragging you down and most likely leave you there after they've taken you for all they can from both a financial and emotional perspective. When you get serious about winning the game of life, you'll surround yourself with people who are interested in becoming more fit, capable, and equipped. These people will be focused on becoming better parents and friends, better leaders at work and in the community, and they'll want the same for you. That's the formula for building an unstoppable team, a tribe. You may be thinking, sounds great, Jim, but I'm surrounded by dolts. So how do I find, much less attract, high-end people? Wow, you're asking really good questions. Here are a couple of ways to get this done. First, focus on personal excellence in all areas of your life. In other words, work towards becoming the type of person that high-value people are searching for, and thus increase the chance of connecting with them. The second way to find higher frequency people is like finding quality real estate. Location, location, location. Simply go where the achievers go. Are you going to find them at the bar on Thursday night at 11 p.m.? Nope. Start attending a Bible-based church, join a gym, take a cooking class, try jiu-jitsu or other combat training, sign up for a local 5K, just to name a few options. Stay away from where they ain't and spend more time where they are. Let's stop overcomplicating this process. Are you in the season of your life where you're finally and forever done compromising in regard to your peer group? Prune the dead leaves now, make room for new growth, keep the soil tilled and fertile, and watch new life happen. I don't know how to elaborate much on it other than if you want to be around better people, which I think is the key. You cannot be around a bunch of people that are overweight, that don't train, that are broke all the time, that are takers, that had horrible marriages, that aren't great friends, that are drunk on Wednesday night. You're not going to become the person that you should be becoming if you're around those people. You have to prune that from your life first. You have to be willing to go stoic for a while, I think. It's not a matter of just, I have this group of 20 people in my peer group, I need to replace it with 20. You need to take it down to probably 1. The pruning comes first. You're willing to be comfortable with yourself, and then you figure out how to build the tribe from there.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
There's a bunch of stuff that says that you're pieces of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. Yeah. And I used to always say to, people that I remember a friend of mine that he's a good friend now, Brandon, back when he was lost, he was down in meth and everything. And he didn't believe, he actually got in an argument one time that he didn't believe that everybody did meth or cocaine. He just, it didn't matter. Doctors, lawyers, he just believed that everyone actually did it. And there were the people that would admit to it and the people that lied about it. That was his belief.
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, they're just hiding it. And the reason that was is because it was the people he was surrounded with. And if you surround yourself, if you wanted to get a hold of a doctor, all you gotta do is find one. I promise you, a doctor has 10 other doctors' numbers in his phone. If you wanted to get marijuana, you only got to find one guy that smokes marijuana because he's got the numbers of 10 people on his phone that I don't have any, but let me call this guy. Yeah. He didn't, let me go on down the list. Yeah. So if you're whatever group you put yourself in, that's what you're going to be associating with. And at work, like, it doesn't matter. Like some people get down into the weeds of, well, like everybody I work with is losers. That's fine. That don't matter. That doesn't, the people that you're choosing, those are the people that you are associated through business. But the people that you choose to make a personal part of your life, the guy that you text after work, the guy that you hang out with on Saturday, that's the people that where you got to make quality choices.
that's a good word. I wanted to give you one more thought on that. I think it kind of piggybacks on this a little bit. So I was talking with a dude a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about if he got back in a certain career field, he's apprehensive about it because he has a history of drug and alcohol abuse, and this particular field's kind of known for that. And he's a little bit like, well, if I go back into that career field, I know I'm going to start using again or drinking and this and that because it's just the culture and that's who's there and this and that. And that made sense to me when I first heard it. And then I thought about it. So I got back with him later that day and I said, man, I've been thinking about this and it's troubling me. I said, I don't like what you said. I said, I'm going to tell you why. I said, you need to become a thermostat instead of a thermometer, bro. I said, I'm a thermostat, and I'll tell you what I mean. If I go to a bar at 11 o'clock this Friday night, not only am I not going to drink, but by closing time, 2 people are going to be going to an AA meeting with me.
Yep.
Because I'm going to set the temperature in there. I'm not going to be a reflection of the temperature that's already set. The thermometer just tells you what the temperature is. The thermostat sets the temperature. We need to be thermostats in any and all environments.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that our mission should be to walk into the bar every night and start changing people's behavior, because the chances do go up that we're going to start becoming more like those people and picking up on some habits of people that tend to do that. But we can't be afraid to be in these situations either, because we need to have the confidence in, this is who I am, this is what I'm about. And I'm rock solid enough in my non-negotiables. This isn't going to impact me. And once we become those people, we're going to attract other thermostats, man. What we want to be is we want a bunch of thermostats around us. So I think that might be pertinent to this person's question, and maybe it'll help. But I don't want us to be afraid to walk into places just because they aren't like, oh, I can't be around somebody that ever has a drink, or I can't. Come on.
Yeah.
We need to build.
You were obviously in the auto industry, which is well known for that type of stuff, and it wasn't any problem. You're once you give it up, and that's what I say to like lots of people. My wife, my family, lots of different people go in social settings where they feel pressured to drink, even though they really didn't want to. Like, I didn't even want to have a drink. I don't even know why I did, but people just kept asking me. And I always say to them the same thing. Do you think that if I was there, that I would have had a drink? Well, no, everybody knows not to, that you're just going to, and look, I'm not an AA. Like I've had drinks. It's not like I just don't ever do it. I don't enjoy it. So I don't ever do it. Yeah. But it's funny, they'll immediately say, well, yeah, no, you wouldn't have had one, because everybody just knows that you're not going to. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yes. Dude.
So everybody knows they can push you into it, and they know they can't push me into it. So just like you're saying about thermostat and a thermometer, I've never heard that analogy before, but same thing. Yeah. Be the person that people know they can't push into something.
Yes. So you set the temperature. The thermostat's what you go to set what you want the temperature to be. Now, that goes back to what we were saying before. I read that from a guy. A guy wrote that. I'm not going to give him credit. Not only am I not going to give him credit, but I'm going to say, I've been saying this for years, Mike. You want to be the thermostat and not so. That's
and
not
I'm
my
going to acknowledge, and I'm actually going to give you credit. So that's how that works. When the first time I tell somebody that, I'm going to be like,
yes,
Jim Moat told me, this is something Moat says.
Love that. Thank you.
Someone I know said, and then
then it's yours.
This is mine. Yep.
And it's going to come full circle.
Definitely look up that 3W thing.
Somebody's going to send me a text and be like, Collins was talking about this thermostat thing he came up with the other day. I'm like, son. All right, next question. You ready?
Yep.
I think every reader is going to want to know how Allie and your ex-wife feel about the book.
I wondered that as I read it.
Okay. So I wanted to read the question as to not act like I'm copping out.
Yep.
And I'm going to answer it as far as I'm willing to go. First off, I haven't heard from my ex-wife about her thoughts on the book, or if she's even bought it or read it. I don't know. Haven't heard a word.
I'll mail her a copy, so we can at least.
I'll sign it if you want.
I may highlight it. I may do some highlighting of the parts that pertain to her.
Thank you for that. You always got my back.
Yeah.
Is regarding Allie's feelings about the book. That's her story, and that's for her to share, and that's her heart, and for her to express if and when she ever wants to do that. And it's not my place to do that. So I'm not trying to cop out the question. That's why I wanted to read it, but it's not my place. I think that, like a lot of people, people that were included in are prominent parts of the story, my mom included, and a lot of other people, I think they're proud of a lot of it and maybe respect some of the ways I approached it. And some parts of it, they're like, I wish you'd have talked to me about this first, or I wish we could have discussed this. And maybe we'll get to that later in some other questions of how I approached that. But so one of them, I have no idea. And the other one, I don't feel it's my place to share. And I have too much respect for Allie to hearsay her opinions, so to speak, out into the world. I'm just not going to do that.
That's some real politician type of answer you got going there. As far as your ex-wife, Jim, what do you have to say about that? At this time, I don't know anything about their input. I'll let you know as time comes on. And what about Allie? No comment.
So I didn't say no comment. But since I'm being a politician, you're being the fake news. So you're spinning my words. All right, we're moving on, bro.
I'm moving on.
What do you hope readers take away from the book? Okay. What I would hope is I really wanted people to get a feel for where I've been. And it's not to give them such a picture of I'm not trying to spin their thoughts or impressions of me, but I want them to see that I'm a dude who has done a couple of things. One of those is achieved in some areas and overcome in a lot of areas. And I think it's important for people to see that in the book, because the point of the book is for people to be able to relate to, you know what, this guy's been through some crap. He's honest about it. He's open about his feelings, but he also perseveres. He had a problem with drugs and alcohol, and then years later went through a lot of stuff and didn't turn back to drugs and alcohol. This guy has been to the pits of despair, to the point of not really wanting to live anymore, and has come out of that ash heap and is on the process of rebuilding life in a lot of ways and trying to experience joy. This guy also is a Christ following person and professes that and reads the Bible and everything. But oh boy, he might drop an F-bomb once in a while, or he's not living the perfect biblical life in all areas of his life and maybe has some doubts and things, but he still professes Christ as his Lord and Savior. And so, we'll see. I hope that that's what people get out of the book. And I also want the second part of the book to lend a little bit of credibility to where I've been and my authenticity, and actually some expertise in some areas, because I'm going to do some other things. And I wanted the book to set the groundwork for when the next stuff comes out. Maybe they'll be like, hey, you know what? I checked out that guy's story and I know who he is and where he's been. And that might lend a little credibility, authenticity, and credence to the next thing I want to do, because this is about two things for me: helping people be healthier and pointing them to Jesus. It's kind of what all this is about. So hopefully they can take that out of the book. Anything else to add to that?
I think people will take away that you did it, and so can they. I mean, this guy, look at where he was at. He was at the bottom of the barrel. He was struggling. I mean, and didn't have the best life. Didn't start out with a pocket full of money. Didn't have a bunch of privilege. And look at now, he's a successful dude that still has, and as a successful person, still has struggles. Right? That everything's not always peaches and cream for you, but you get through, and other people should be able to understand that, no matter where they are on the spectrum, from the Jim 30 years ago to the Jim today, like, hey, okay, you know what? I can pick up something up here for sure.
They have the capacity to build the life they want, to write the script of the life they want, and they don't have to be at the mercy of other people and be controlled by other people, and they can walk in the freedom they want to create. Because I'm a living example that it happens.
And I feel bad for people that you see that have like given up, right? Like
me too.
They're maybe our age, between you and I, whatever, and they had a lot of bad happen, and now all of a sudden it's just like getting through the day and getting money to get a 12-pack and like no goals, zero goals left. Yeah, I hate to see people that are defeated. It don't matter how old you are. You can start over.
I agree, man. I agree with you. I think that's a good word. And that's what I want people to walk away from after they've read it.
I spent my 50th birthday in prison. I could have very easily said, oh, well, whatever. I tried.
I will say this, as
Yeah.
I was reviewing the final work before the book was published, I wanted people to laugh at a bunch of different things in the book. And I also wanted them to take pause and maybe get a little bit emotional as they're reading a little bit of the pain.
Yeah.
I wanted the gamut of emotions to go in those 161 pages. I wanted to take people through a huge range of emotion that they might not be experiencing, because I think it's important to feel a lot of stuff. And I wanted them to feel as much as I felt as I was going through it and writing it. So hopefully they did.
Yep. You did a great job, man.
Thanks, brother. Are you working on any new projects, like a sequel to the first book? So yes, a sequel to the first book. Probably not a sequel to the first book, but the next book that and program that is started, yes. And the time, I'd love to have it finished and published by Christmas. And so I'll throw
Wow.
that time frame out there, so that it takes some grind, and that's lofty, but lofty is what I do. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm developing a program, and the program, I don't like the word coaching, but I am developing a lifestyle optimization program. It's a 7-week program. I coin it the suck cycle. That is what that is mine, by the way. So I didn't steal that from somebody. I call it the suck cycle. It's a 7-week jumpstart, a basic training, so to speak, that does a few things. So it helps people grow in their faith. It helps people improve their health and build a physique, and give them the tools and the groundwork that it takes to continue beyond that. So it has a lot of what I call non-negotiables in it. The non-negotiables are the things that are going to get done each day in order to help them in this cycle. Now, the 7 weeks is going to suck for them, thus the name. It's going to be drastic. This is going to be way more than the 3 W's. So for the person that's just having a hard time even getting out of bed and can't move, and it's been sedentary for 10 years, this might be a little bit much. But the program itself is going to be life-changing. I want it to be Christ-centered, which it is, but it also will work for people that aren't necessarily on that path. But there's a faith element to it. There's a journaling element. There's definitely some scripture to it. There's some physicality. There's some nutrition. There's some prayer. There's some accountability. So the next book is going to be an explanation and a deep dive into that program. The program is going to get released well before the book. And I'm going to take on some clients and see how that goes, and see if we can start changing some lives in some tangible ways. So that's the sequel.
Right on.
I haven't talked to you a ton about that. You have questions about that, or?
No, I mean, it sounds like you got your work cut out for you. I had no idea you're on path to be getting out another book by Christmas. That's crazy.
We'll see. We'll see how it works. Got to have lofty goals, right?
Yep.
If you had it to do all over again, would you write the book? If so, would you change anything, and do you have regrets? Okay, let's take it one step.
I don't think you'd ever go back and take it away. Maybe, though, it'd be interesting. I'm more interested to hear if there's things that you would change. So yeah, what you got?
Okay, so would you write it? Yes. So yeah, I would do that. The next part of it says, would you change anything? So that's a tough one to answer, and I'm going to say the answer is no. But here's why. That is an honest reflection of my heart at the time I wrote the book. If I would have just started it today and it came out 7 or 8 months from now, it would be a changed work, because I'm evolving all the time. My emotions are lessening in a lot of that stuff, and I am moving on from a lot of things, and there's been closure in some areas and in some relationships and some.
And that would be my input, that I feel like that your divorce was still so fresh that it got more focused than it would definitely get today.
Correct. Yes. And I understood that even as I was writing it, because I'm fairly self-aware. I knew as I was writing that, hey, Jim, if you put this work off a year, this divorce won't get as much. That's why I wanted to get it on paper now, because I also want to have a journal, so to speak, of what I went through and how I felt. It's just a public journal. You know what I mean? It's out there forever. And it was very traumatic. A lot of those things, it's not just the divorce. A lot of stuff was, a lot of the change, and even the childhood things. So the work would be different if it was done at a different time, but that doesn't mean I would go back and change it, because I like the accuracy with which I put the words on the paper.
Yeah.
The final part to that question says, do you have regrets? So that's a no. I don't do that. I don't do regret. It doesn't mean I don't ever have remorse about things. Maybe if I've treated somebody poorly, or I do feel bad if people were hurt. I didn't write that book with the purpose of hurting people directly. I did need to express some emotions and some honesty that if people read it, they might be hurt by it a little bit. But that wasn't the intent. It wasn't to wound.
Yeah.
So I don't regret the things that are in there. But again, as you evolve, your emotion comes out of it a little bit, and the more you're distanced from any trauma, the more healing you've undergone.
Yeah.
And what I can say is, it's helped me a lot from a mental health perspective, because as I go reflect on the book now and I pick it up and read some of it, I see the healing I've gone through since I wrote certain parts. And I'm like, wow, I've really come a long way in the healing, because I'm not that bent about that at this point. And so I've noticed healing in that short amount of time, and it tells me I'm on the right trajectory, and that makes me feel good too. And so selfishly, that helps me. And I think the book should help me too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I agree.
What was it like dealing with publishers and editors? Unique, it's different. I've never done it. It was okay. I used a place locally, and I went through a lot of different options, all over the country. And I ended up settling on a place locally, and they're called Concierge Marketing. They're pros. They did a wonderful job for me. I can be a little bit difficult to deal with, and a little bit, I want to be in charge, and I'm controlling, and they pushed back on me in areas that I needed pushed back on. And it's a better finished product because of the team that they put together to work with me directly. And I am very grateful, and I will use them for the next one. And I love the relationship. And my relationship with them isn't done. There's still some more marketing things we're doing. And I think for the fall junk stock, which is, an outdoor kind of flea market-y event they do out here in Western Omaha, I'm going to have a booth. They have a booth there. So I'm going to go do like meet and greets and sell books and sign books and talk to people out there at the fall, like October junk stock. So we've got some stuff that's coming up, which would be kind of fun. And they help me market it and get it reviewed and put into public libraries and schools and things of that nature. So I'm still working with them. I've enjoyed the process immensely. And it was fun because it was new.
Yeah.
So anybody if people are thinking they want to do something like this, but they're a little afraid, apprehensive because of the editors and the publishing and the process and stuff, call Concierge and just jump in and do it, because they're good people and they're going to walk you through it.
Right on.
Have you reconciled with your former business partners, and do you see yourself getting back in the car business? All right, one thing at a time. Have I reconciled with those guys? I want to say the answer to that is no, because officially we haven't sat down and shaken hands and, hugged it out. But I would say that the animosity I have towards Bernie, who, as I call him in the book, and the other members of the group and family, my partners, I'm not walking around with animosity towards these men. I'm just not. Could they have handled some things differently? Yes. I think I deserved a little more than how I was treated at the very end, but be careful what you think you deserve. They probably deserved better from me. Not probably, they deserved better from me. I wish I would have handled myself a little better. And I think that in hindsight, I'd like to think, because I know their hearts, that they probably would have done the same. If any of them reached out to me and wanted to go have coffee and we could catch up on life, I would do it in a minute. I just haven't matured to the place where I'm going to be the one to make that call. And that just speaks to my own immaturity and lack of willingness to do that. But I could see that day coming. So I don't harbor that stuff.
All right. I'm going to boil this down to really simple.
Okay.
So if you could push a button and one of them's dead without no chance of repercussions, would you push the button? Would you pick one and push the button?
No.
And I know the answer from before. So, okay. So then, yeah, you obviously a lot of your animosity.
Unequivocally, it's no. And I'm not,
There
it's 100% no.
okay.
So
that is,
yeah,
so a lot of your animosity is gone.
We'll go back in time. We'll go back in time a year, and you and I spent some time together. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I
actually thought at that time there was some chance that you weren't going to push a button. You were going to walk in with a small hammer and actually, possibly be up a murder charge. So I'm glad. No, your amount of growth is huge.
Yeah. And I pray through that a lot. I have found that even forced prayer does change your heart, and it becomes less forced prayer. As long as you're honest with God, like, God, I don't really feel this way right now, but I'm going to lift up this person to you, and please do it. And what I found as I continually do that stuff is God does change my heart and softens my heart in a lot of areas, and gets me more lined up with the man I want to be. I don't want to be a guy that feels that way towards other people, because I don't want to encourage other people to be that person. Life is short, man.
No, I agree. It's too short. Growth right there. Yep.
The other part of the question says, do you see yourself getting back in the car business? I never say never about anything, but I don't know, man. I've enjoyed not being in the car business. I do miss the camaraderie and the team stuff. But like anything else, as you get further away from it, you remember the good stuff and you want to romanticize it a little bit. And then I have to make myself think, boy, this sucked. Dealing with this client was bad and all these problems. And so it's like anything else. I never say never. I do have expertise in that area. From a consulting perspective or a training perspective, I would love to have an opportunity to do something like that. And I think those are out there. Do I see myself going for 60 hours a week and being at an auto dealership and helping close car deals and those kinds of things? I don't see that in my immediate future, but I do have a heart for the car business and what it provides for people. And I think we need more godly men and men of high character in that field, because there's some less thans in that realm.
Yeah.
Collins Moats Auto. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I honestly, when you ask the question, I'm sitting here like, let's do it. Cars.
I would be more prone to do
something out the door. I'd be like, dude, you're like, we can't afford it. I'm like, come on, man. We can figure it out. It
does take a lot of capital. It eats up a lot of capital. And to be honest with you, right now, the markets provide a pretty good return with very little hassle and zero employees, and dealing with the government and setting this up and this licensing and that, and the angry clients, and my car broke down, and acquiring inventory. And so there might be a time, but I could see it as a good little side hustle. Maybe you and I do a few little things here and there. I just want it to be fun, whatever I do. That's my story in my life right now. I just want it to be fun and make money.
I do. What's crazy for me is there's days that I have great days, right? That we hit a home run on something, and big home run. Sometimes it's like substantial. And I'm like, okay, cool. But there's times like when I see, for a while there, I was like really studying it, and I'd see a car trailer or a skid loader trailer on sale on Facebook Marketplace, and I'd be like, oh, that's too cheap, and buy it. And then I bring it to my yard, go pick it up myself, bring it, relist it on Facebook Marketplace, and sell it 2 days later and make $1,000. And dude, I'm telling you, it's like way more content than making 10 grand on something else. So, I mean, it's just weird how I'm wired like that. Like,
I love that. So yeah, we should talk about, we'll talk about that. So maybe let me go back and change my answer.
For $500 and sell it for $1,500. I'm telling you, I'm all
I see myself getting back in the car business. Maybe the Mike Collins car business. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll see. All right. Next one. Why did you feel the need to include the political views towards the end of the book? It seems unnecessary. Ouch. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So I thought about that, and I think it's a legitimate question. And I didn't really see that as I was writing it or reading it back, but I can see how people would have that impression. I want people to understand my perspective is these are tumultuous times. And I think we are a little bit on the razor's edge of stuff could get really goofy really quickly. And I don't think it takes a whole heck of a lot from where we're at to one day have it happen like that. The electricity goes out for 2 or 3 days. the government regulation on guns or what, things can get weird. Closing businesses, forced vaccines, things we've kind of seen happen. I think that we need to focus on health and personal excellence, being alert and sober, so we can be the best we can be if those things come from a preparedness perspective. Then, as I've said, let's say we're walking out that lifestyle, not being paranoid and afraid, but prepared and prudent. If we're walking out that lifestyle and these things never happen in our lifetime, what's the downside? We just feel better and look better and we have more energy and we're healthier and there's no downside to it. But I want what he refers to as the political views in there, because I want people to wake up to get your head out of the sand and at least try to find sources that can give you the facts and you can make your own determinations as to what's going on. But especially from a male perspective, we need to be protectors, man. Our roles are to direct, protect, and provide for our loved ones. And if you're walking around morbidly obese and you're drunk and you're popping pills all day and you're checked out or playing video games or not out there engaged, not aware of what's going on around you with your freaking head down in your phone wherever you go, you're not in a position to protect. And that's why I included that in there. So I think what this illustrates to me is I didn't do a good enough job of the tie-in. And there's a lot of things I didn't do a good enough job of. It's my first book. This will be the worst book I ever write. And because I'm trying to get better. And I was just going to say, I'm not a writer. I guess now I am, but I'm not that good at it yet. And I want people to give me a little grace. I didn't do a good enough job of tying that in. And that showed me an area that I need to improve in, but that's why it's in there. Did you find that it was too political?
No. So here's what I think. Obviously, so we started the show today and we don't have politics on the agenda. We're going to, well, other than right now, this question, we're going to do questions. But as friends, how can we not discuss, okay, there's an assassination attempt on Trump last week, and it looks like Biden's going to step down this week, and will they take Kamala? That is just part of who we are. And if we went into, I think if we went into any cafe and just moved table to table and eavesdrop, we're going to hear some political commentary right now with the way the political landscape is right now. It's huge. It's a huge part of our lives. This will be, if Trump would have got assassinated and Biden would have stepped down, we would actually have two people run for president that weren't chosen by anyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
The public didn't get a vote.
Yeah.
And Biden's going to step down after being the only candidate that was on the Democratic ticket. There was other people, but the only viable candidate that had backing was Biden. Yes. And now all of a sudden he's going to step down, and a very small group, probably less than 10 people. I don't care what they do. If they go to the convention and they have votes and I don't care what they do at the convention. There's a very small group in the country that's choosing who his successor is. And it's not the people that are at the convention. It's the people that own them.
It's a great word.
And so anyway, how does that not come up in your book? If you're telling a book about yourself in today's political climate, how is there not some politics thrown in there? And whenever you have a show, whether I'm on, it doesn't matter who you have on, there's almost always a touch on politics, even if that's not what the show's about.
Yeah, agreed.
So guess what? The book, you wrote a book, and there's going to be some politics in there.
Yeah, good. Well, yeah, thank you. I like that. I like your answer. Would you ever do a business partnership agreement again, and what lessons have you learned? I'm guessing that goes to, I talk about, I signed an agreement when I became a partner in the auto group, when I had no net worth and I had no way of doing it on my own. The senior partner who had all the net worth and the infrastructure and everything, he asked me to prove to him that my business plan would work. I did that over the course of a year. And then he said, okay, I'm going to help you borrow your seed money. We're going to put in equal money and you're going to be an equal partner with us, but you're going to run the whole thing. And in the agreement, he put very clearly in there, I can, at any time I want, from here till the end of time, I can buy you out with or without cause, no matter what. So I could build up that business for decades. And then if he just decides one day I'm gone, I'm gone. So I operated under that agreement for the entire time. And I never felt good about it, because you're always like looking over your shoulder a little bit. Even though I was an equal partner on paper and I was the majority stockholder, I had the most shares in these two finance companies of anybody. I had 37% of 200 shares, or 37. I had 60 something of 200. So 37% of the total number of shares. And so I had the most of any of the partners. So we had multiple partners. And I was still never anything but a junior partner. And that actually bumped me. And I don't think that this guy ever knew that that bumped me, because he's told me on multiple occasions, you're the junior partner. Well, keep in mind, hearing that, I came up with the idea. I presented it. I worked it every day without fail. It was my idea, my team, my processes and procedures. And I was always told I was the lesser than person, because I was the one that could get bought out at any time. So I don't think I know I wouldn't sign another agreement like that at this point in my life, but I also know I wouldn't ask anybody else to, because I know how it made them feel. And I don't think that you're going to get everything you can out of a partner when you're constantly telling them you're less than me.
Yeah.
What my methodology when it comes to leadership is building up those people in my life, whether they be employees or partners. I want them to be like, you are the reason this thing works. And thank you that I'm coming along on this journey. Now, I will say that this senior partner is a trustworthy enough man that for no reason at all, he would have never done anything to harm me or take me out of this agreement. But I gave them the necessary ammunition, and I was hard-headed enough at this point to where I could see they were wanting to go a different way and without me at some point. And I just thought, let's just accelerate this thing a little bit. And they said, let's rip the Band-Aid off too. So all of the life events culminated in that happening, but the agreement would have let it happen no matter what. If they wanted me gone, I could be gone. So partnership agreements are like marital agreements. And let's just say that this dude had a really good prenup.
Yeah. Well, I honestly think if you and I had somebody come to us with this idea and they need us, and look, obviously it was big boy money that them guys were having to invest, and they co-signed for your loan for your short. Yeah. But if somebody came to us and it was an amount of money to you and I that would be significant enough we wouldn't want to lose it, right? But not significant enough that, it changes our lives if we lose it.
Yeah.
I think that if you and I wrote a contract with somebody, I think that we would probably have some sort of a, look, if this don't work out, we can get rid of you clause in there. I honestly believe that's fine. And I honestly think that in hindsight, I always thought that it was amazing, your buyout, because at the time you had nothing. I know that you put all the work into it and it was your idea. But honestly, if the day they wrote that contract, they'd have said, look, we'll loan you all the money. Well, you're going to run it. Everything was the same, except they said, and at any point in the future, we can buy you out for $100,000.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this don't work, I get $100,000.
So that's a great point.
At that point in your life, and maybe it would have been 150, but you'd have signed.
I agree. So let me talk about that. First off, a few years after the agreement was signed, I actually went in and had addendums done to it that they agreed to with our lawyers and put this new buyout formula in there, because I could see that what was originally in there could actually screw me. If I spent 20 years growing this business, I'll walk away with next to nothing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't super in my favor, but they were willing to,
because it
should be based upon how the business performs and how much I grow it. And they agreed to that. And they were super fair about that. I also want to say this. I used to say this a lot, and I think I've gotten away from it in these conversations. So I want to put it out there. Had this guy and his family not given me the opportunity and believed in me, would I say I'd never have anything and never been anything? No. But I would say that this guy believing in me and trusting in me and encouraging me and giving me the infrastructure, and he was a great mentor to me in a lot of ways too, and like a father to me in a lot of ways. Without this guy doing that, I wouldn't be sitting here today with the freedom that I have financially. In a nutshell, I wouldn't be who I am today without this guy.
Yeah.
And he probably doesn't know I feel that way because I don't do a good enough job because I'm stubborn and I'm not going to pick up my phone and text him that. And I know they don't listen to the show. So that's probably fine too. But I believe that. And I also believe that his kids, who I reference in the book, his family, these are good people. They're good people that have issues like the rest of us have. Their hearts are good. They are talented business people, and they, like every one of us, have attributes and they have deficiencies. Yeah. And nobody's perfect, and I'm not trying to hold them to standards that I wasn't willing to hold myself to. I respect them, I appreciate them, and I wish them well. And that's honest from my heart. And I don't think I felt that way in here. So that's why it's good to do a Q&A. Now, people will be like, well, so you changed all of that in the 7 weeks since your book came out? No. It takes a long time to write a freaking book. So this is a long time. But we have seen some growth. I've seen some growth in that stuff. And selfishly, and this is kind of a duh moment for those out there that are listening, the more we can grow, man, it starts building on itself and our life gets better and better. And that elusive happiness that I've heard so darn much about might actually be out there someday for me. So we'll see. So that's my bow on that. Anything else?
No, man.
All right. So, and I didn't have a scripture in this show until now. So,
I was going to mention it. I wasn't going to let you sign off without finding it.
It's coming. Here's the question I received. You touched on your moment of turning to Jesus Christ, but I'd like to know if you had moments of doubt. Was there an event or multiple events that made you want a deeper connection? Okay. Did you ever have moments of doubt? Yes. Now, when I hear moments of doubt, that means something different to different people. After I really God really did a work in me, and he took me from that moment, and thus the title of the book. When I asked him to kill me, I felt different the next day. Was I, I'm on fire for Christ and my life's great? No, I walked through a living hell and, getting detoxed and all that kind of stuff. But I did feel different, and I felt that I had tapped into something and had the willingness to pursue this elusive God stuff, this Jesus stuff that I was stubborn about up to that point in my life. So I know that I was changed then. As I matured in my faith, were there doubts? Yeah, because when sucky stuff happens, that's when doubt comes in, doesn't it? But the Bible's pretty clear. Makes no bones about it. You're going to have struggles. The world's going to hate you. You're going to have problems and all of these kinds of things. And as I matured and started reading the Bible more and being around church and other dudes and being discipled and stuff, what I found was that as I was going through sucky stuff, as we all do, the Bible became more true, because I'd be like, hey, look, it said this was going to happen. It said that my family would treat me this way if they weren't Christians and I was, and they would do this. So it started, the bad stuff didn't sow seeds of doubt, but became affirmations for me. And I never want to say I never have doubts about who Jesus is and what my core beliefs are. Do I believe Jesus was the Son of God? Do I believe he was killed on a cross and came out of that tomb? Yes. I never have doubts about that. But I do have doubts sometimes about, we really going to heaven? I think that's a reasonable, thing to think, because no one's really gone and come back and told us it's rock solid, right? We have to have faith, and a strong faith, that the areas that are tougher to believe, we have to be like, you know what? I'm choosing to believe. I choose to believe that I'm going to heaven and it's a real thing. And when doubts come up, the first thing that I have learned to do is I take those to God. So I take my doubts about God to him, and I'll be like, in prayer, I'll just be like, hey, God, I'm having some doubts about you. And you know what happens almost all the time? I have some weird, freaky thing happen to me. It's one of those weird coincidences, or what I call thin places of God showing up. And one of these happened this morning. I'm not in a season of doubt, but I sent a scripture to somebody, and because it was on my heart, And then I'm reading this morning devotional, and the devotional tied to today's scripture is that. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of smiled. I'm like, okay, thank you. You know, that's weird, but those things, as your relationship grows and you have more time invested in the relationship and you come to know Jesus more, the times where you're struggling or having doubts, I don't even know if they get less, but you get over them pretty quick. And you start looking for God in areas that really give you more confidence. Here's what I know about the word confidence. Now, somebody's probably going to comment and tell me that this is way wrong and it's BS, but here's what I was actually taught this, that the word confidence comes from two roots, comes from con and fidens. And I'm going to say it's Latin, I'm not positive, but anyway, it means with truth. So confidence comes from knowing the truth. What I believe is the truth in Jesus Christ, and that's where my confidence comes from, and not confidence in myself exclusively, but confidence in what I'm reading in the Bible and who God says he is. So obviously that question comes from somebody that's had doubt, like everybody that's seeking God has. Was there an event or multiple events that made you want a deeper connection? I actually wrote a note here for myself, so I'm going to read this. And I put, the more I was in the Bible and praying, the more I saw the hand of God in all areas of my life. So the more I experienced God, the more I wanted, and it continues today. It keeps building. So the more you hunger for what you eat. So if you eat ice cream every day for a week, you know what you're going to hunger for on day 8? Ice cream. Same thing with God. I hunger for God and I want to consume more of God. So then I'm more hungry for God. And then it starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I
attribute what you seek, right?
So
you find what you seek.
Yeah.
When you're looking for God, when you're looking for signs, you find them. And it's that way in everything in your life. And you know, if you're driving along in your car and you start looking, you know, I haven't seen a school bus in a while. It won't be long. If you're only looking for school buses, you'll see one. Or, you know, whatever, a coyote. It doesn't matter what you're looking for.
Yellow cars, red houses.
Yeah, you just start focusing on what it is that you want to see, and you'll see it.
Yeah. No, that's a good word. It's true. But I will say this. So I do feel that I'm in a period of real growth. And the good lesson in that is I'm 52 years old, and so many people our age or even younger than us, they just stop growing. They don't want to grow anymore. They don't want to get stronger. They don't want to get more emotionally and spiritually mature. I want to get better all the time. That's what I'm about. I'm trying to go like this. I just want to get better in everything. And I can see that I am growing in a lot of areas, and that I'm maturing past the man I was even when I wrote the book. And that's not anything I can just will to happen. I know that that's God doing a work in me, and it's a slow process. People get discouraged sometimes, and they use the word doubt to describe what they're feeling when this happens. They're going through some trauma and they're like, God, please take this pain away. They wake up 48 hours later. They're like, well, God must not be real. I'm still in trauma. I still have grief. I still miss this or whatever.
What people don't really focus on is we have free will, right? There's things you could say to me that would hurt my feelings because you know me. There's things I could say to you that would hurt your feelings, whatever. But we have the free will to do that. So you and I have the free will that we could go out today and we could actually damage people if we chose to. And we could raise people up today if we chose to. We'd give somebody a positive feedback or tell them what they need to hear today. But unfortunately, everybody has free will. So there are people out there that, whether it's work associates, people you work for, people you know, family, friends, that can say and do things to you that hurt you, and there's nothing you can do about that. We have the free will to be able to do that to others, and other people have the free will to be able to do that to us. So that's the world we live in. So people can do things to you that get you down. It's just how you react to it. I mean, it's always going to happen unless there's no free will. Is the only way that we could all be having good days, right? Nobody can hurt us because nobody has the free will to be able to do that. So
I'll say this. I love that perspective. I know this. A strong man who has power and has power over other people in whatever respect you want to put that context, a strong man who wields all of his power just because he can is a weak man.
Yeah.
And I'm not a weak man. Yeah. And there's been many instances in my life where I could have done blank and didn't. And we need that restraint. And I think that I know for me, apart from my relationship with Christ, that ain't going well.
No.
That heart of Christ that I want in me is what gives me that discernment to know, when to push, when to not. And you certainly aren't out there wounding people.
Yep.
And
that's what you said. You're growing. You are growing every day. You maybe in the past you did things that were hurtful to people more frequently, and now it's like maybe it rarely happens. But like I say, we're all at the mercy of our friends, family, and associates.
Yeah.
They can make our lives worse. If they're having a bad day, it can flow down and it can flow onto us. It's just a matter of how we deal with it. And that's what we have to do. So during your dark times, as far as losing faith, losing whatever, this is a man has made my day bad. God didn't. God gave that man free will.
Yep.
And that man chose to be an ass to me today.
And the Bible says, if God's for me, who's going to be against me? So
yeah.
You ready for a scripture?
Yep.
And it kind of goes to this. This is where I went to try to help with this question. It's from Mark 9:22-24 from the NIV, New International Version. So this guy's talking about his kid has this demon and it always throws him into this fire. It says it's like seizures. It has often thrown him into fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, take pity on us and help us. So this guy's talking directly to Jesus. Jesus says, if you can, he's like questioning, if you can, everything is possible for one who believes. Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief. Isn't that interesting? I'm going to read it again, the second part. The guy says to Jesus, hey, if you can do anything, help us. Jesus is like, are you freaking kidding me? If you can, I love that part. Jesus says, if you can, I'm Jesus. Everything is possible for one who believes. And then the boy's father's response is so profound. I do believe, Jesus, I do believe. Keep in mind, he's talking to Jesus.
Yeah.
He's seeing Jesus and believes he's going to heal his kid. He's seen all this stuff happen. He still says to him, would you help me overcome my unbelief?
Yeah.
The reason that's in the Bible is because if this guy who's seeing Jesus do all this stuff still struggles with unbelief and is willing to take it to Jesus and ask him to help him through it, it's in there because Jesus knew we were going to experience some unbelief instances as well. And our instruction through that scripture is to also take it to Jesus and say, hey, I'm struggling with some unbelief. So to the person that sent that question in, when you're struggling with some unbelief, do like this cat did and take it to Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Next question is a little bit lighter. You ready?
All right.
Is Ricky Lake super short? Because she looks short, and I think she hides it with high heels.
Okay. Yeah.
So she is small. She's short, significantly shorter than me. And I remember this in a creepy way. But yeah, so I remember, and foregoing the handshake and grabbing a hold of her, which is extremely inappropriate as I look back. But yeah, I had a hold of her. I'm going to guess Ricky Lake's probably a gal that's about 5'3". Seems pretty small to me.
It's weird to me that somebody sent you this question and has had to wait a couple of weeks to get the answer when they have Google.
Right.
How tall is Ricky Lake? I mean, this is an answer we could have that fast.
But, I appreciate it. And I think they just maybe they thought they'd get some different perspective and, me talking about being.
I have a question now.
Okay.
Did you get a copy of the Ricky Lake tape?
Okay. So, all right. Yes, I am in possession of it.
Can we get it digitized?
I don't know how to do that. I'm sure the answer is yes. I do have the tape in my possession, and I don't own a VCR.
If I go to the trouble of Googling who can digitize this, are you willing to drop the tape someplace in the city of Omaha as long as I find a place within 10 miles of where you're sitting? Yes. I'll pay too, bud. I'm willing to pay for it.
Okay, here we go.
Can we get the Ricky Lake episode digitized and put on your channel?
I think we should.
Okay.
Yes.
I
know you're trying to pin me down on the answer. So
I'll commit. Minutes of Googling and phone calls later on today.
I will commit, bro. Okay. You're in.
Okay.
I commit.
All right.
All right. That's the end of the questions. So I'm happy to continue the conversation on any of this stuff because there's going to be people that, hopefully that buy the book after this, and they might have some questions at any given time. You guys can send me questions about virtually anything. social@ministryoffreedom.show. You can go to my Instagram at Real Jim Moach. You can message me on Facebook. You can go to the YouTube comments. I see this stuff. I answer them myself. I'm going to see your questions and comments, and I am serious about trying to answer them. And engagement is important to me because it helps us all get better. I've had criticism as well. I've had a lot of compliments, but a lot of criticism, and I welcome it all. I just want to say, if it's done from a place of honesty and respect, I welcome it, because that's how I get better. I'm not about just staying where I'm at. I'm only going to get better by other people's help. But, don't be freaking trolls and weirdos and just tell me I'm a moron. If you say, hey, you're a moron because blank, then that might help me get better. But I welcome the comments. I think it's fun. I love doing these Q&A shows. This one, I think,
this is good. This is the best one.
This was pretty fun.
We really do got to get down in the weeds one of the days of. I would like to go over the most hateful and despicable of comments and things that you've gotten some days. So kind of keep a running along. Even if it tells you you're stupid, I want to get down in the weeds with it. Yeah.
Some of it's pretty. It's so funny. Okay.
Let's go, and actually let's get it set up. Get them together, and then I'll read them to you. If they're about me, you can read them to me, and then I'll answer. And if they're about you, I'll read them.
That's pretty good.
And some of our answers can be like as simple as, "No, I'm not. I know you are. What am I?"
Exactly. I probably should ask you this off air, but I want to do an episode about the Suck Cycle program. And I want to really unpack it and what the non-negotiables are and what the program looks like and stuff. But I don't just want to sit here and talk to the screen. Would you be willing to come on and be my sounding board for what that looks like?
Yep.
Because I want to unveil that very soon and start having people enroll if they're interested. Ask questions first off, and then, if it's a good fit, and we'll go through the enrollment process, the application type of process. Because what I'm looking to do is bring on about 10 folks.
Yep.
To help them walk through this. And, if you're somebody that is out there seeing this episode and you have a desire to grow in your faith and you want to get healthier and you want to work on your physique and your fitness and your health and your strength, no matter where you're at, beginner, novice, advanced, whatever. If you would like to work in all those three areas and you're lacking a little discipline and you want the accountability and a structured program and a guy that's going to walk you through every single day, contact you every single day and keep you on track and answer your questions and be there for you and help you, and willing to commit through the basic training of 7 weeks of Suck. If that's you, reach out to me and let's see if it's a good fit, because I think it's going to be fun. And I'm excited to put some people through this program. We do it together. And then at the other side, they can come on the show and talk about their testimony of it and their processes and their changes. And I think it'll be fun. But it's what the mission is, right? The Ministry of Freedom is about helping other people operate in freedom. And we want to find that freedom through personal excellence and a relationship with God. So if that's you, reach out to me and see what we can get figured out. You got anything to finish up with, Michael?
Man, been a good one.
Yeah, it's all good. We're going to hit the stop button. I appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. See you later.